The Choshev Oilam is coming. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me, Klub Aniene. I never knew there's another door. Okay. Rabbi Say, before we start with the sheet that I prepared, בבקשה, let's... שכח, כדורי, בבקשה.
One page?
One page. No, there's enough for each one. Each one takes one. That's it. Beseder Gomer. Okay, we're very happy to have today Michael and Yehuda. It's very nice that you're here. I just want to show you a Moiritik Rashi in this week's Parsha that it's known and not known, but I was over on the Nekuda Perigid Aleph, Pasuk Chav. It starts already 2 psukim earlier. When Ha'am Tomar, Perigid Aleph, Pasuk Ches, he's kadoshu, he's kadshu, L'mocha v'chat basar, etc. Pasuk Chav. Ad chodesh yamim, ad asher yitzeh me'apchem, v'ya lechem lezara, yan ki ma'astem es Hashem asher b'kir b'chem. V'tivku lefonav le'emor, lama zeh yatzanu mimitzrayim. You know what Rashi says on this pasuk? A meritic Rashi. Look at the last Rashi in Pasuk Chav. Es Hashem asher b'kir b'chem. Im lo shenatati shchinasi b'nechem, lo gava levavchem likanes l'chol advorim ha'elu. Halalu. You hear Rashi? Rashi was bothered by, that's what Rabbi Mizrahi says, the words asher b'kir b'chem are totally not called for. The pasuk would have been very well understood without those two words. Yan ki mastem et Hashem. V'tivku lefonav le'emor. What are the two words Hashem b'kir b'chem coming to say? Says Rashi, Im lo shenatati shchinasi b'nechem, if I had not planted my shchina amongst you, lo gava libavchem likanes l'chol advarim halalu. Your heart wouldn't have, how would you say, gava? Gava. What does gava mean? Prevail.
Become proud.
No, become like, yeah. It's not the word gaiva, but it means gaiva. But look at this Rashi. Hashras Shechina caused them this avera. Mamma mia.
Where the big shots.
Yeah. But it comes out that a big maila sometimes is a chisar, it brings an avera. There's a Moritik Rashi that the averos of Am Yisrael come from a hochkeit. It's very mativ to what the Moral says, that any bad midah that we have, let's say kshe orev, comes from a maila. Ruchni is kshe orev. If you're misusing it, it's called kshe orev. But someone who's ruchni has to have a backbone. Just if you use that backbone towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's obviously an avera. Right? But that's what this Rashi says. It's a Mordecai Rashi. Look at the Rashi. No, it's not on this sheet. It's not on this sheet. It's Perigid Aleph, Pasuk Chav, on page Tuf Mem Gimel. A Mordecai Rashi. And the source of the Rashi is the Sifri. The Sifri letter Tzadik Dalet. Now, I copied, before I came over, the Lashon of the Sifri. I copied it. And there's something that Rashi added. Again, the Lashon of Rashi is, Im lo shenatati et shchinasi b'nechem. How would you translate the word natati? Planted. Isn't that an interesting Lashon to say about shchina? You should say ashras shchina, niti'as shchina. I looked up the Sifri, and I'll read to you the Lashon of the Sifri. The Lashon of the Sifri is, שאילו סילקתי שכינתי ביניכם לא נכנסתם, אמר להם הקדוש ברוך הוא לישראל, מי גרם לכם לומר דברים אלו? שנסעתי שכינתי ביניכם. שנסעתי. שאילו סילקתי שכינתי מביניכם, לא נכנסתם לתוך הדברים הללו. אוקיי. So the Lashon Nasati Shchinasi, okay, that's a more generic Lashon. Shenatati Shchinasi? What does Natia mean? I planted my Shechina? And why did he change? Rashi's changing. It's a Chiddush of Rashi. To call Shechina, the Lashon HaSifri is Shenasati Shchinasi. Says Rashi, Shenatati Shchinasi. I'm fall from Rashi. We're in Perek Gedal Pasuk Chav. Okay, so what does it mean, Natati? So, of course, I was trying to think today. I'm just, this is before the sheet. I'm just thinking out loud. Natati Shchinasi. Interessante Loshen. I planted my Shechina. And I started looking a little bit into the word Niti'ah. I heard Rav Moshe, it said it has to do with the word Ta'am. Ta'am, flavor. But let's look around. Hanotea oizen halo yishma. Hayotzer ein. You remember what's the lashon of the pasuk? Halo yabit. What's a notea oizen? You plant the ear? This is already not Rashi, it's a pasuk. What? No, 100%. It's the same word. It means to plant. It's lashon nitiya. I saw. No, that's nitiya. That's what the ana ayin. What's the word in English? No, nitiya, inclination to one side. No, that's a different word. That's nun tet hey. But this is nun tet ayin. Rabbi, so we say it, on which day of the week do we say it?
Today.
Which was Wednesday. Hanotea oizen halo yishma. Hayotzer yain. I understand. He created an eye. He created an eye. What does it mean? Hanotea oizen. He planted an ear. I'm going to ask you one more time that we say lashon nitiya, which is a little bit on Shabbos and Musaf. Aleinu b'simcha alteinu v'tita'enu b'gvuleinu. You don't say that on Yom Tov. In Nusach Ashkenaz. V'tita'enu b'gvuleinu. It's a netiya on Davka Shabbos Musaf. Again, where else do you say? How's it in Nusach Svar? Let's give a look at the, I'm sorry? Vayita'ol. Okay. Beseder. Rashi says, "Mefesh matzanu nitiya bo'olos." Rashi felt the chiddush. But what does it mean on Shabbos that we say? What does it mean? Let's look at the Lashon. What does it say? Let's get a sit. Shabbos Kohen. It's not Pashat to Kohen to be Mechilas Kohen. It's not Pashat. Yeah, in Nusach Ashkenaz, as far as what does it say? V'sitoenu b'gvuleinu. Does it say it also in Shosh Golim? Now, Nusach Svarat says it also on Rosh Chodesh. V'tita'enu b'gvuleinu. But let's see on in Shosh Golim. So Nusach Ashkenaz says, but I got used to South Africa. In South Africa, there's no Nusach Svarat in the whole state. It's a little shekila. Yes.
Because the other half of the coin is Tzemach David. That's the other half of the Nativity.
Good. I don't know if I'll help you on that one. Let's go to that one. Rabbi said, did I ever tell the Hasidic Shabbat? You tell me which Rebbe says it. Asher nasalanu teras emes is Torah shebeksav. V'chaya oilam nota b'sechenu is Torah shebal peh. Which Rebbe do you think says that? What? Amateur Rebbe? Anybody ideas? Shulchan Aruch. Simon Kuf Lametet Sif Yud. The Mechaber says it. It's quoting the Torah. You know, I have it here. Give a look. It sounds like a Chasin Shabbat, right? A Kishmak a Chasin Shabbat. Here. Okay. Brocha Achoina, Asher Nosa Lanu Toras Emes. Zu Torah Shebiksav. V'chaya Oilam Nota B'Sochenu Hu Torah Shebal Peh. It's the Mechaber. I'm going to show it to Rabbi then. I feel the oil, I'm not making it up. See if you. See the Kuf Lamates. Yeah, see if you. Brocha Achoina. Right? As I say? Steht das ja? Yeah, good. So Torah Shebal is called the Netiya.
Because it grows.
Hashem HaKosov Divacham Kedomas K'Mesmot Doing. Yeah. Yeah. 29. Fine. I would like to conclude, maybe say, especially that Torah Shebal Peh is called the Netiya. You know what it means, Netiya? When I plant something and it becomes therefore intrinsical part of what I'm putting it into. It says a Netiya, then an etz that's Natua, so it can't be, the wind can uproot it. Netiya means that you plant something and it becomes part of that something that you're Netiya into. They become one. A tree in the land, if it has good shirashim, the tree and the land are one. And that's his mefresh, that the Rishonim said that. Netiya is Loshan Chayzek, Vaya Ke'etz Natua Pal Gemaim. What does it say there? Asher. And the Ruach will be oimed in the Ruach. Netiya means that you are planting, A is planting something into B, and it becomes part of B. It's him now. It's him. It's there now. Torah Shebal Peh, as we know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu planted something in us, and now it's ours. Now it's ours. Ze shelanu. That's a Netiya. Shabbos is Me'ein Oilam Haba, and Oilam Haba then says Beferish in the Pasuk in Amos Perek Tes, whatever, I'm going to be Noter you in Eretz Yisrael, and you'll never be uprooted anymore. That's what it's a pasuk. Is there a nachir? No. Fine. No, there's malachim. It's like Nevim Ksuvim.
I'm campaigning for an
What? Okay. Look. It's a pasuk in Amos. I'm going to be noter you ba'artzachem, and you'll never be exiled again. That meaning you'll be the Netiya in Eretz Yisrael, and you become one with Eretz Yisrael, and won't happen as separation. Netiya means it becomes one. You want to look it up there? Very good.
Yeah, it's a haftarah for Achronos.
Very good, Binyamin.
I told my grandson.
Okay, very good. That's how all the Talmidei Chacham know something. They tell a grandson, they tell a son. Absolutely. So what does it mean, Chavre? Again, what's the lashon of the pasuk there? They're not going to be separated anymore. You see, the Netiya means you become one. The etz becomes one with the aretz becomes one with the etz. It's a total infusion. What's the word in English? What? Fusion. Okay, I'm getting. Thank you. I'm at this stage of my life. I forgot Hebrew and I didn't pick up English yet, so I'm ben leben. Okay, but said Obisai. Okay. Rashi touched up Asher Bekir Bechem. The Shechina is in you, says Rashi. Natati Shechinasi. It's not a loss be'emes. It's a chiddush of Rashi. Okay, I'm still, and that's to come on Shabbos, which is Me'ein Olam Haba. So that we're going to be there, and so we're not going to be uprooted anymore. And the key to it is that the Tia is called Torah Shebal Peh. Hanoita Oizen. Now, everybody say this could be a little bit far-fetched, but I want to tell you, it does say that Re'iyah is Torah Shebal and Shmiya is Torah Shebal Peh. That the Goyen says a few times. So when it says, I give you Oizen, that shows, but what it really Oizen does show is Havana. Tashma, coming right to Makabel. It's your doing. Eyesight is not your doing. It's really forced upon you.
Passive. It's passive.
No, who?
The seeing comes in.
And hearing is also passive. That would be a chilek. Adra, but the eyes are a little bit moved. The ears you don't even move them. There's very few people know how to move their ears. Anybody know how to move their ears here? Huh? You do? Come on. Yeah, I know how to go like this. So, Rabbi say, there's something here, just tell l'chacham v'yachkam oid. Something about Nitiya, a chidush of Rashi, Natati Shchinasi, because he's touching up the word Bekil B'chem. It's in you now. It's in your kishkas. Okay, Rabbi say. Hachada.
He should have said B'seichem, no?
Bekil B'chem, B'sechem, is that a difference?
B'seichem means amongst you. The last thing means Rosh Hashanah
Bekil
B'seichem.
B'chem is Bekil B'chem.
Much more.
It's even more.
Inside, yeah.
Ah, that's what you're saying. You bring me a raya. I thought you were asking a question. One second. Very good. What are you saying again? Oh, Michal, you came with such Mesilas Nefesh. We already wished you a full Shlema. Maybe the bracha already. The bracha works already. Good.
So instead of the doctor, I'll just come through this year.
Very good. Michal, what you're adding? What are you adding? Nachamal, that what? That's the Bekil B'chem Mamash means like Kerev HaKraim. Mamash in your kishkes, so to speak. Very good. Very good. Okay, Rabbi say.
We find Vayishma Avon El Ephron. You know, what did Ephron say? Adoni Shmoini, Eretz Arba Me'er Shekel Kesed, Eni Uvein Chom Ma'ayiv, Neis Bov Tavor. Vayishma Avon El Ephron, Vayishkol Avon Ephron, Kes Hashem Tibet.
Yeah, so what do you want to show?
He understood what Ephron
What's really meaning?
Yeah, what he really meant.
Yeah. Shmiya always means Havana, and Havana means it's the doing of the Shomea. Rabbi said, it's very here, Lashon of Lashon. Raya, a proof, is called Lashon Riyah. Why is that so? Why is the Raya Lashon? I have more of this than Yeah. Raya, a proof, is called. Is there anything you like to say? Yeah.
Rise a fact doesn't mean
There's nothing to argue about. You know, in Hebrew, it's a very mucha, but I think it's also in English. If two people are arguing, and one cannot convince the other, so what does he tell me after a while? Ani areh lecha. I'll show it to you. There's nothing more to argue with Riyah. Riyah, Shmiya is that the Shomea processes the information, and he makes Havon out of it. That's Shmiya. There's a halacha built on that. If you sell me your Eved Knani, and I tell the Eved Knani, come here, and he comes, is that called Mashiach? So by animal, yes. In fact, if you sell me your cow, the cows in Eretz Yisrael are called Shoshana. I don't know why. Don't take a personal chasron if anybody has a Shoshana at home. Shoshana, boy, she comes, you're koine. It's a good base with base. But if you tell Eved Knani, come here, you're not koine him. Why not? Says why? Because he's a badas. What does it mean? A behemoth doesn't have das, so it's mamish as if you're pulling it with your string, invisible rope, because it doesn't have das to process. So it's your doing. A kinyan you got to do. Shmiya, it's not your doing. He thought about it, digested, and decided to respond. That's called shmiya. So shmiya is his doing. You can't be kind of with what he did. You got to be the doing. So Rabbi says, so this is the kuda. Okay, so maybe hanoite oizen, meaning I'm going to give you a sense, shmiya, that's going to be you. You're going to have to now digest the material. Riyah, I get you. Emma, you like it or not? Here it is. I'm the one who's doing it, says the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Shmiya, now you have a skill to digest and to think. Mashu kazeh. Okay, Rabbi said. Okay, these are just thoughts that I had this when I saw this Rashi Shenatati, and I looked up this Sifri who doesn't say Shenatati, but rather, maybe interesting. Shenatati and Natati?
Maybe it's Sephardi.
Maybe that's what happened here. It could be Natati, Natati.
You see this Rashi is
What, I'm sorry?
you see the Rashi is like a Sephardi.
100%. 100%.
That would be saying he's made a mistake.
Okay, I'll say. I'm sorry? And that's the Gvizalim. 100%. That's the Gaiva. And what Mumchal also add, Bekir not Betoichechem. Masuni Mikos V'Shachanti B'Soicha. Bekir Bechem is Babash. Bekir B'Klayim. Very good. Moisa, very good. Maybe we should publish like a booklet of the Chidush that will come out for this year. What do you think, Rabbi?
Yeah.
Okay, let's find a sponsor. Ari? Okay, let me say. This maybe we spoke about throughout the year. It's a new Chiddush, but I remember we spoke about it last year. Not Baruch will tell us. And it's something that's based on two Maharals in this week's Parsha. And the first paragraph, that's what we say in Musaf. We just had Shavuos. Mipnei Chotainu, Galinu Me'altzeinu. V'nisrachaknu Me'al Admoseinu. So, Mipnei Chotainu is the headline. Because of our sins, what occurred? Galinu Me'altzeinu, V'nisrachaknu Me'al Admoseinu. Right? Is this redundant? Galinu Me'altzeinu, V'nisrachaknu Me'al Admoseinu? Aren't you saying the same thing twice? Question number 2. Why did you say initially Artseinu and then you say Admoseinu? Question number 3. Why do you say Me'artseinu and you don't say Me'admoseinu, rather Me'al Admoseinu? Oh, boys, I think I have an emes like shot here. The emes. I think. Let's see, before the oil tears it up. Till you tear it up, I have this... it's really Yishrak. And then, okay, good. Remember, Rav Futner once told me. That was his lesson. I never saw a Godel grow up from a learning with a Chavrusa. All the Gedolim learned tons of hours by themselves. Because your real way of thinking, you got to do it by yourself. When you learn someone else, by definition, you're compromising. So I asked him, I was 20. I said, is there a Shiva saying not to learn with the Chavrusa? I said, no, Chazal say to learn with the Chavrusa. Chil ben Abadim. But not only with the Chavrusa. You have to learn a lot by yourself. That's what he said. Okay, so Rabbi said, before I share with the oil with my Chavrusas, so meanwhile I'm Ya'ani. So we have here 3 questions. L'chor, it's redundant. Mipnei Chateinu, that's the headline. Galinu me'artzeinu, v'nischachaknu me'al atmoseinu. We're exiled from our land, and we are distant from the soil. It seems the same thing. Why did you change it from Artseinu to Admoseinu? And the third question, why you say Me'artseinu and you don't say Me'admoseinu, you say Me'al Admoseinu. Am I right? You feel that if you're going to dig here, you'll get gold? You feel it, Yosef? Sometimes before you have the answer, if I'm going to dig here, something's going to come out. That's the kind of sense that you have sometimes. So a lot of times, with me, I can tell you, it doesn't materialize. I feel this is it. Okay. Anyway, look, let's go. So we know that the Rashi. Let's give a look. The Rashi's not quoted here, but let's give a look at the Rashi in Perek Tes Pasuk Aleph. It's a Shlishi in this week's Parsha. Vayidaber Hashem. It's on page Tov Lamed Hey. Perek Tes Pasuk Aleph. Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe b'midbar Sinai b'shona hashenis l'tzeisam b'Mitzrayim b'chodesh harishon ne'emar go do a Pesach. Right? Says Rashi. B'chodesh harishon, that means it's Chodesh Nisan. A year and some days less after Yetzias Mitzrayim. Says Rashi, Parsha shebarosh hasefer lo ne'emra ad iyar. B'midbar started with a later date. Iyar. And then after 9 prakim, going back a month. Says Rashi, the famous Yisoid, Lamadata she'en seder mukdam u'muchbata. The Torah is not written in a chronological order. Ve'lama lo patach b'zu. Again, a Yisoid. Ein mukdam u'muchbata does not give you a license stop to make hefker. You could change the order, but you have to have a very good reason to do so. Stam ein mukdam u'muchbata, you don't say. The lama loy posach b'zu, meaning why don't you go according to the chronological order? It's something derogatory about Am Yisrael. Shekol 40 shana shayu Yisrael b'midbar lo ikrivu el Pesach ze bilvad. This is the only Korban Pesach that he did in the Midbar. The other 39 years they didn't do it. So it's embarrassing. You don't want to start a sefer with an embarrassing notion. Kvoidam Shei Yisrael. The Korban of Am Yisrael says not to start with that. That's what Rashi says. This is a Gemara in Kiddush Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Beis. Tosfos on the spot asks, why is it a gnus? They were potter. We're going according to the man that said HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them, "B'vayachem al haaretz." You're dismissed. So if you're dismissed, why is it embarrassing? Dismissed by whom? HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. He told you not to do it. So why is it embarrassing? Answers Tosfos, right. That they didn't do a Korban Pesach is not embarrassing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you don't have to do it. But why were you stuck in such a little desert for 39 years? Look at the map. It's a small desert. It should take a month to go through it. Why 39 years? Because Chetam Raglim, It's alluding to Chetam Raglim. And that's embarrassing. That's what Tosfos says in Kiddush of Lamed Zayin Amud Beis. The Maral brings his Tosfos. He doesn't say anything on it. But he's going to say a different shot. I have a question on that Tosfos. I'm sure I shared with you, Ba'avar. It's only alluding to Chetam Raglim. That's okay. You can open up a chumash if you're just alluding to Chetam Raglim. I have a chumash that did it. Dvar. Ben Chatzor, Ben Teufel, Ben Parano, Ben Teufel. Says Rashi, it's a reference to Chetam Raglim. But since it's only a remez, it's okay. For the Yisrael. The remez is enough to satisfy for the Yisrael. This is even a further away remez. They had to do a Pesach for 39 years. Why not? Because they were in the desert, and they only have to do a Pesach with the Eretz as well. Why were they stuck in the desert for such a long time? Because they have to hold doors to die out. It's referring to Chetam Raglim. It's the fourth cousin, twice removed. And yet, you can't start the Chumash with that. That's what Tosfos says. So how can you start? You want to say maybe Dvarim is separate Techocha? It could be. But the Maral brings the Tosfos, doesn't say anything, and then offers his shot. And Rabbi say it's a more to shot what the Maral says. We're going to read it inside, but just a little introduction. We understand that Kiddush has to do with the following 4 words in English: fault, shame, guilt, blame. I'm just giving 4 words in English: fault, shame, guilt, blame. And if it's not your fault, shame, guilt, and blame, so what's the problem? Says the Maral has nothing to do with those words. And I'll give you a mashal before, and then we're going to read the Maral side. Let's say there were 3 people that had they shared an office together in property. Right? That was the COVID days. Remember? Quarantine, you remember all those words? Right? One of them had a chash of COVID, and legally he couldn't come to the office that day. He had to quarantine at home for a few days. On that day that he would show up, there was a most unbelievable business deal that came up. The other 2 partners each made £1 million in 5 minutes. He wasn't there. He didn't make it. What would he feel when he finds out about it? Now, on that day, there was a deal. They speak to each other throughout the day. A deal. Each one made £1 million. What would he feel? No, it's not partners. They couldn't. Each one is doing himself. Okay. So, what would he feel? Upset. And if you're going to tell him, it's not your fault. You quarantined, you have to stay home. Legally, you couldn't come. Would that help? No. Why not? Because I could have got £1 million in the bank. And I'll never know. Yeah, but it's not your fault. Who cares? Fault ahin, fault ahir. Why not? I could have had £1 million in the bank. So it's not my fault. Shkoyach. It doesn't make me have the £1 million. He blew an opportunity. Nothing to do with those 4 words. Nothing to do with fault, guilt, blame, shame. Nothing to do with it. But there was an opportunity that came up, and I wasn't there. Right? That's what he feels? Let's see what the Mahal's going to say here now. In the second paragraph. The lama lo patach bezu. Hikshu atois b'arkam v'kiddush magnush yesh b'zeh, v'lo lo nischayvu b'pesach ad shabo le'eretz Yisrael. Ulefi Daiti, he quotes what Teresa answers, and then he says, Ain't tzarech. You don't have to say it because it's alluding to Chetem Raglim. You don't have to say that. She'af imru potu min ha-mitzvah, even though you're dismissed from a mitzvah, or mechmat unsa, because it was an oinus. How would you translate oinus in English? Beyond his control?
Force majeure.
Force majeure. Okay, that's called English, huh? Okay. Or mechmat unsa, or shepatro, or he's dismissed. Kenai ulo. The word kenai maybe shouldn't be called, translated in English, derogatory. It's a pity. There's an opportunity they didn't have. The sof law saw a mitzvah, kama shanim sheyu b'midbar. They didn't do the mitzvah a few years there, with all those years in the desert. Shekol mishu patur min ha-mitzvah. Machmat shu ones, k'nayu lo shelo asa mitzvah. Even if it was totally beyond his control. The law, merinan ones rachmona patre, rak liyan patur min ha-onesh. Aval mikol makom k'nayu lo shelo asa mitzvah. He could have done the mitzvah. Like it says in Yerushalmi, oines command to Ovid, lo yamrina. As if you did it, it's not called. Behaaloscha, he would have had a merit. The kan lo היה להם זכות אותו מצווה, דוודאי אם נאנס ולא עשה פסח, אבל גם דפוטו מן העונש, מכל מקום אין לו זכות ושכר אותה מצווה. He doesn't have the merit of that mitzvah. The Summa, he's making an interesting zustel. Potu min ha-mitzvah. According to the opinion, one opinion of the Gemara, a blind man, Nebuch, is potu for mitzvahs. V'chi en gnai lo dovel says she a potu? Now, gnai, is it his blame? Of course not, it's not the blame. But it's he doesn't have it. She told him she a chayiv. It's better to be chayiv in mitzvahs. Says the Maral, here comes an interesting chiddush. So maybe all the mitzvahs at Liyas Ba'aretz they didn't do in the desert, it's also gnai. They didn't do trumas and maestras and all that. He says no. But lo dam in the truma, the kol ha-mitzvahs at Liyas Ba'aretz, the lo chala ha-mitzvah aleim legamri. At Shabbat La'aretz, the mitzvah didn't start until they entered the land. אבל פסח שעשו כבר בשנה שנייה, רק שהיו פטורים ממנו עד שבאו לארץ, גנאי להם זה שדבר זה נקרא שהיו חסרים מצווה. Says a very interesting Mahaldic classic insight. That they didn't do Trumas and Maasros, it's not a gnai. But they didn't do Pesach, it's a gnai. By the way, you know what he's also answering a question? According to Taisus, it's alluding that the next year that you didn't do because Chet Ragim. But this year they did a Pesach, that's fine. This year it's fine. The next 39 years they didn't do. That's the embarrassment. So what's the problem to say that they did it this year? How do I know they didn't do the other 39? Not because my thumb. They did it this year. That means they didn't do it the other years. No, that's not shot. It says you know, like it is with the bus. Every 10 minutes the bus comes. The bus was supposed to come 10 past 8. And then comes the bus, the next bus, 20 past 8. Who do the people scream at? The driver of 820. And he says, I saw this so many times in my life. He said, what do you want from me? I came on time. The one that you did, scream at him, not at me. I'm okay. I came on time. Just they have this frustration, and they don't have anybody to lay it on them. So Nebuch, you know, sometimes we do it to our wives sometimes, no? We have something inside, and Nebuch, the wife, has to suffer. They call it for me. Right? Okay. Well, the 820 guy's okay. Here too, this korban that they did is fine. The next 39 that they didn't do, that's a problem. So what's the problem saying this korban that they did? According to Maral, here's the lumdus. A potential which does not materialize is a gnai, a gnut. Not to do with the forwards I mentioned before. It's just you could have had £1 million in the bank, and you don't have it. Not your fault. It's no one to blame. But look, you don't have it. Mitzvahs. Mitzvahs are corresponding to different parts of our neshama. Every mitzvah has to unleash its parallel part of a neshama. Can you do it? If the mitzvah didn't start yet, that means you don't have the parallel part of your neshama, because the Kodesh Baruch Hu knew this in advance, and it'll give you. Let's say if you're not a kohen, so do we have to feel bad that we're not doing mitzvahs that kohanim do? No, we're not mechuyev. We don't even have it in our system. So it's not going to be called a potential which did not materialize. But once a mitzvah started, that means it's there. And then you stop doing it, there's a potential which is not being realized. An unleashed potential. Yes?
So Summa has to be someone that saw and never blind?
No, but he's a yid.
He was never chayav.
I think that's not called never chayav. He is chayav, he's just butter. You know what the Maral says that even on women, today it's not so politically correct, so I'm not quoting it. The Maral says that in Parshas Noach the same thing about women. They were born women. There were born females. So why is it like that they're potter for mitzvahs? I guess Am Yisrael's one, and you're potter.
We say that, don't we?
What?
We say that, don't we?
So what do you mean? That's a raya or a kasha?
It's a right, but then
It needs to be explained.
Then why are we not upset that we don't pay honey?
Apparently that's lechatchila, not Am Yisrael. There's an Am and you're potter. Okay, that's what you have to say. But by Summa, for sure, you could say it. Meaning, Abu say, well, you know what the Rambam saying? It's a more thing of Chiddush. It's really, if you treat mitzvahs like money, like people treat money, it's so clear. But if we treat mitzvahs as their obligation, so what do you want from me? I couldn't do it. So what's your taina? Over says, if I do a test in Hasbro, right? Gam David, אתה שומע? נכון? גam David. אם אני עושה בחינה בחשבונאים, אז מה קורה? So, like every 2-3 weeks we do a test. So a bacher could come to me a day before the test, smiling from ear to ear. Rabbi, I was sick for 2 weeks with corona. I can't do the test. Fine. He's right. But why are you smiling from ear to ear? I can't do the test. I was sick for 2 weeks. Okay, you were sick. But you know what you missed? 20 Rashis, 10 Tosusim, 2 Rebbe Chonans, a Tzais, a Rebbe Kiveger. Look what you missed. It's like the guy that missed £1 million. He's smiling. He won't. Says the moral, it has nothing to do with those 4 words I mentioned before. Blame, shame, guilt, and what was the other one? Fault. Has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Just, you could have had more. You could have, spiritually, you could have been here, and you're here. That is a terrible thing. That's what the Maral says. You know when he screams the Maral about Derech HaLimud, that people fetch and they don't chazim, well, what do we do today? And they don't know things. They know a Gemara only once Tosfos quotes it. They know the Gemara before. And funny, they know it from Tosfos.
No, from a song.
Oh, from a song. And then he says, V're'iti banim, in Derech HaYim, Perek Vav, there in Mishnah Zayin, right to Zayin. Re'iti banim, I saw Talmidim, Shelibam Ku'ulam, they had a heart, a potential, V'yochlu ladas kol haTorah kula. The Maral saying, it takes one to know one. V'yochlu ladas kol haTorah kula. They could have known kol haTorah kula. V'achrisam, but you know what happened to them at the end? Keshar amei haratzot. They know nothing. Chei Hashem tzvokes. I'm willing to make an oath. Im ein ra'ui likro al zeh kal sefer Torah shenisraf. He quotes the Gemara before that if a person witnesses a sefer Torah getting burned, he has to do kriya. Says Rashi in the Rif. He quotes Rashi. It's Rashi in the Rif, not Rashi in the Gemara. Rashi in the Rif says, you know why? Because you could have used it more, and now they got burned. You can't use it. Not because of whatever happened with the sefer Torah till now. The future, which did not happen. That's what Rashi says in the Rif. The sefer Torah shenisraf means that you can't use it now in the future. So he says, if I see people that could have been G'dolei Yisrael and they ended up being a Meratzim, isn't it a sefer Torah shenisraf? A future that didn't materialize? So what if they're alive? Chei Hashem tzvokes. Im ein ra'ui likroy al ze kal sefer Torah shenisraf. Noira nerois. I'm willing to make a shua. If I see someone, a nice bala boss, but I remember from Yeshiva, they said him he's going to be the next Reb Chaim Kanievsky. And look what happened to him. A wealthy Amoritz. Chei Hashem tzvokos im ein ra'ui likro al ze kal sefer Torah shenisraf. I should make a kriya like if I saw a burning of a sefer Torah. He says kol sheken. It's like even a kol sheken because it's not in the Because I remember, guys, you remember when you were in Yeshiva? They said, he's the next Rabbi Yosef. You know, we gave the titles. He's the next one. It didn't happen. But you remember they were saying that? You remember? So someone could have been this, and then he ended up 10%. Hashem Yirachem. It's not his fault. He's a victim of the circumstances. Akol nachon. But so what? What's someone? It's a Yiddish expression. You don't become a Talmid Chacham from excuses. Of command, I love the list. Yeah, command the Ovid Lamrinan. So says the Maharal at this point, if the mitzvah already started, that means that you have that pocket in your of a neshama, which is waiting to be redeemed and materialized. And then it didn't happen for the next 39 years. That's a gnai. Trumas and Maisos didn't start yet. So that whole door that's not entering Eretz Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't give it to them to start with. That's what you have to say. It's the Am, the whole nation. Okay? Kach Omer. That's his Yisoid. By the way, according to the Maharal, that's like this Pesach is embarrassing. According to Tosfos Ben Akasha, he's the bus driver that came on time. What do you want from the guy? He came on time. The other one, right off Kaduri. But according to the Maharal, it's because of this Pesach that the next 39 years are Gnai. If it wouldn't have been for this first Pesach, it would have been like Trumas and Maisros. Right? It's a Moritik Maharal. Remes, what do I say? It's a Moritik Maharal. To remember, Rav Shach used to say that the Chofetz Chaim, he quoted the Chofetz Chaim. Like, how do we talk? If you'd give me £1 million, I wouldn't do it. Right? That's our way of talking? You know how the Chofetz Chaim will talk? If you give me 100 mitzvahs, I wouldn't do it. That's not Chofetz Chaim spoke. If you want to bring out something, if you give me 100 mitzvahs, I would not do it. Because by the Chofetz Chaim, that's what makes life valuable. That's the currency, exactly. Very good, Yosef. That's the currency. Okay? Now, the Maharal says also, in the second paragraph, he also says, it's a verse at Perek Ches, Pasuk Yud Zayin. Let's give a look. That the name of Am Yisrael appears 5 times. It depends on the Chumash. In our Chumash, it appears on Pasuk Yud Tes. It's talking about the Levim. Levim, do your job well. Make sure that Am Yisrael no one should get hurt. So says Rashi, we have it in Pasuk Yud Tes. Ve'etna. Yeah. Says Rashi, Perek, again, it's Perek Ches, Pasuk Yud Tes. It's in the Chumash. Ve'etna, 5 פעמים נאמר בני ישראל במקרא זה. להודיע חיבסון, שנכפו לו אסכנוסיהם במקרא אחד, כמניין 5 דירה. The name Bnei Yisrael is mentioned in this pasuk 5 times. לעבוד על בני ישראל, לחבר על בני ישראל, ולא יהיה בני ישראל, בני ישראל. To show that so what does that mean? Says the Maharal. What does it mean? Says the Maharal, the third paragraph. ועוד יש לפרש שהכתוב בא להזהיר את הלווים, שיהיו שומרים המקדש. That the Levim should guard the מקדש. שלא יקבו בני ישראל על המשכן. שלא יהיה קצב בבני ישראל וימותו. שהרי כל אחד מישראל חושב כ5 חומשי תורה. ואם מת, הרי כאילו נשרף ספר תורה. The same Maharal like quote before. כי די זה בפרק ההוראה, it's more cotton. האוימן היציאס נפש חייב לקרוע. ומפורש שם הטעם, דאדם שמס כספר תורה שנשרף. ומפורש Rashi, again, I remember it took me a long time to find the Rashi. It's not Rashi on the Gemara, it's Rashi on the Rif. If he שהיה יכול עוד ללמוד, a person that died, he could learn more. מכיוון שמת, הרי כספר תורה שנשרף. לקח הטעם שפיר ואתנת נביאים. רוצה לומר, וחיתם, מה אכפת אם יהיה קצב, what do I care if he dies? What do you mean what do I care? אז אמר, אחד מישראל כ5 חומשי תורה. וכשמת נחשב כשרפת ספר תורה. ולפי כך הקפדתי על תקנוסן. Right? Every yid is like a sefer Torah Yisrael. Why? Because a potential, when a person dies, what's the issue? A potential which did not materialize. Meaning, the Rashi in the Gemara, you know what he says? Why it's sefer Torah? En lecha rekan shebemitzvos, there's shelo asa mitzvos kirimoin. Everybody's full of mitzvos. Rashi in the Gemara says because of the past. Rashi in Moed Katan says because of the future. My nafkamina. Give me a nafkamina, there'll be a difference. If Chas v'Shalom a baby a day old dies, should you make Kriya like Sefer Torah Nisraf? So according to Rashi in the Gemara, that he did tons of mitzvahs till now, obviously in it. But according to Rashi in the Rif, that there's a future that didn't materialize, how much more so? Right? I'm sure there's a few nafkaminas. So what I want to bring out is that what's life about? Life is about bringing out a potential. To unleash a potential. That's what life's all about. You can't do it. We spoke about it. That Adam, you're called Adam. That you got to bring out a potential. You got to produce. You got to every year steig a little bit more. That's what life's about. To keep on steiging. We're called Adam al Shem HaAdama. You know what's the difference between Adam and Eretz? The Maharal says it, we're going to see soon. Adama is that first layer of the ground which does the produce. The fruits and vegetables grow. You dig deeper, the roots don't reach so far. That's already called Aretz. The Adama is the part, and that's a called Adam. Al Shem, that part that we should be producing. A produce. Okay? What, I'm sorry? But you say, let's see, Zabaya.
Yeah.
Zabaya. Okay, Rabbi says, so give a look in paragraph number 4. We have these 3 questions to answer on the Tefillah Musaf. If I'm not going to answer, who's going to fall asleep tonight? Arav Kadui, who's going to fall asleep tonight if I'm not going to answer? Me. Okay, good. Okay, לפי המדבר הדברים מחוברים. ההבדל בין ארצנו לאדמתנו הוא שתיבת אדמתנו מתמקדת, is focusing על הוצאה מהכוח אל הפועל. I'm not making it on my own, כמו שכוסף בחידוש הגודס לסויטה. By the Egel Rufa. האדם שנהרג, over there a person that got killed, we don't know who's the killer, לא הוציא עדיין כוח שלו על הפועל מה שראוי אליו. שהרי נהרג, he died prematurely. וזה שאומר הכוסף, look what the Maharal says, כי ימוצא חלל באדמה. לא אמר באורץ, רק באדמה. כלומר, כי נעשה בחלל הזה דין אדמה, שלא הוציא הכוח שלו אל הפועל. The tragedy of the one who got killed over there is that he is an undeveloped adama. A potential, but if you would say Aretz, I would get it. The Torah specifically said the word Adama, Ki Yimatzeh Chalal Ba'adama. You remember over there, the pasuk over there, that they found a corpse on the Adama. Why Adama? You know what's the tragedy here? That he did not bring out what he could have brought out. The Maharal says Adama, which is fallow. What's the word in English? Fallow. You know how it's called? Bull. Adama Bula. And how's that more it's called? Bull Vamart. The Maharal says it. It's the same word. Undeveloped land is called bull, and that's a person, also called bull. He says that in Drush Torah. Okay, so that's part number 1. The word Adama means bringing out potential. If you brought it out, you didn't bring it out, but it's referring to the parsha of unleashing a potential. That's Adama. Eretz is not that. That the Maharal says in Chiddush HaGodus. The Torah wants to bring you this message across. It says Ki Yimatzeh Chalal Ba'adama and not Ba'aretz. Kach Omer Amara. So Akim Min Adama. Good. Yeah. He speaks about it. Yeah. He says, why is it called the Maharetz? Okay, I remember now. Good. Very good point. Just that one liner that you have here, look what he says. Kasher udar be'eretz Yisrael, when you are living in Eretz Yisrael, Adama Kedosha, ubezeh mekadesh gam ken ha'adama shelo hu begufoi. When you're living in Eretz Yisrael, when you're living there, you know what happens? The Holy Land will sanctify your land, which is your goof. Meaning, living in Eretz Yisrael, what does that do? Take it, Amatona. Okay. What?
He's coughing quite badly.
No, 100%. I understand. Don't worry. I may come across as Meshuggah, but I'm really well balanced. Of course. I'm the guy, of course. But so here comes the Nakuda. You know what we're crying about at Mipnei Chatoinu? That we're in Golus. Amongst Goyim, they tell us what to do. Galinu me'altzeinu. But there's another thing we're crying about. There's a potential that we're not materializing. And we would have if we would have lived in Eretz Yisrael. First of all, the mitzvahs at Luyas Baritz. There's something incumbent. What's the word in English? Incumbent on us? Incumbent on us? With M's, right? It's M's. Incumbent on us, and we're not doing it. My boy said, look, where else do you find that you call mitzvahs choivos? Reb Chaim Kanevsky called this duty choivos. מפני חטאינו גלינו מארצנו, ונצרחקנו מעל אדמתנו, ואין אנו יכולים לעלות ולעשות חויבותינו. We can't do what's incumbent upon us. It's not normal. It's not the usual way to call mitzvahs. Reb Chaim Kanievsky spoke that way. Fine. He had a list of chayvus. That's how he called it. What I have to do today. It's not common that mitzvahs are called chayvus. But what does it bring out over there? There's something which we're supposed to be doing and we're not doing it. Chayva means we're supposed to do it and we're not doing it. Again, it's not our fault. By the way, here it's a little bit, maybe yes, our fault. It's our chatoim. But again, okay, but there's a potential that we're not unleashing. Those are the two parts of the tefillah. We're in goals. We're not at home. We're amongst others. We're subjugated to others. There's terrible things that happen because of goals. If we would be stepping and living in Eretz Yisrael, there would have been, what the Mal says in the Torah, so much more potential coming out. The Holy Land would sanctify our holy goof, and everything would have been just so much more. It's not happening anymore now. The fact that I'm not walking around Eretz Yisrael is a cause that many things are not happening now. So here the lashon is v'nisrachaknu adoma, first of all, and not Eretz, mi'al admoseinu, meaning the focus is that I'm supposed to be stepping there, I'm supposed to be living there, I'm supposed to be walking around there. I'm not. Because when I walk around in Eretz Yisrael, things happen. That's not kasha mi'al admoseinu. I'm not stepping on the soil that I should be stepping upon. There's obligations which I'm not living up to. So there's potential which is not coming out. Again, it's okay. But you could say now we're by us. It's already maybe not our fault. Fine, whatever the nakuda is. But that is the tefillah. I'm just learning from these two morals in this week's parsha that a potential which does not materialize is over. I remember in New York in the 70s when they had an ad on the subways. Here it's not called subways. Here it's not called here. Underground. There was an ad for the New York City, New York City College. It's called City College. There was a picture of a man, a certain kind of ethnic group, we'll mention what, and a big sign. A brain is a terrible thing to waste. You hear them, Shlomo? It's them, it's not us. A brain is a terrible thing to waste. That was the sign. Come study at New York City College. Well, what are they saying? You got a potential. You got a good head. Use it. A potential which does not materialize is chaval. It's not your fault. It's not to blame, but chaval. I know there was a museum that they had brains of people after they died, so took out the brain, so they're selling it. So Einstein's brain is 10 pounds. Some other fellow that didn't do anything, the brain they're selling is £1 million. I said, what's up, shot? Einstein's already used. The brain's used. The other one's still brand new. So it's $1 million. Einstein already, it's a squeeze lemon. Of a kafta arava. What can you do? The other one's brand new. Okay? This is the kuda. So Mela Rabbi say, when's Marav Boch? What? A quarter past. Okay, we're not going to go up to that. Don't worry. No, anyone should know we're not going to go up to that. Only those who came late will have to stay a little bit later, like the detention room in Hasmonia. It's one of the most popular rooms in Hasmonia, the detention room. Anyway, I always say, okay, so let's just finish up the Nakuda. I told you, Tzu Krishlevsky, a man, Zozan Gutensterk, he's a guy. He has a memory. Every 5 or 6 years there's a cycle of the yeshiva. He remembers a lot anyway, but if you're not really shakua, you don't remember every detail. And I told you always, Rabbi Fredman, his Talmud told me this. There's a matter of principle. When he learns the sugya again, the next time he bumps into the Gemara, he does not look at his notes from previous years. Doesn't. He starts from scratch. Well, he remembers. He remembers a lot, but I'm. And then he writes his new chidushim of that year. And only then he compares notes to what he wrote in previous years. And if it's not better, he starts crying. That's what his Talmud told me. Rabbi Fredman told me this. If he wrote better 6 years ago, 12 years ago, he said, so where's my progress? Where's my shtagin? 6 years ago I wrote better? So what did I do the last 6 years? Where's my Adam? He's going to the well. Where's my Adam? That's the tviyah that he has for himself. The tviyah that he has for himself is, I gotta do more. Okay, I'm excited. Okay, so I just want to explain, that's what's happening here. Why does it say Galino v'nisrachakno? I don't have 100% clarity on this one. Galino meaning we're in exile, then I can hear, and I'm not there. I want to be living there, and I'm not living there. I want to be stepping on this soil that will promote me. That's what we're saying in Shalosh Regalim. The Baal says that he would make a kriya on someone who did not bring out his potential. So no one brings out his full potential. So he's going to make a kriya on everybody in the world? But I guess he's speaking about extreme examples of someone who could have been Mio de Abba, and the Panovich Rabbi, we say. You're too young to know. Do you know who he was? What kind of personality he had? He was larger than life. His chachma, his ne'imus, his pikchas, he was a goin also. He was it. Any good man you could think of, he had it in abundance. And he was, as a youngster meaning when he was in his 20s or 30s, a member in the Polish parliament. A short kufa. He knew how to talk, he knew everything. Agudas Yisrael, in Eretz Yisrael, after the Medina was established, asked him to become a Chaver Knesset of Agudah. Because he would be very good. He knew how to handle, he was good. He said, I'm sorry, I can't take the job. Why not? I don't have enough clothes. That's what he said. I don't have enough clothes. I said, really? That's a problem? Okay, the clothes is on us. We'll buy the clothes. No. You don't understand. You don't have enough clothes to give me. What do you mean? Allah in the Shulchan Aruch is whenever you hear kfira, you got to do kriya. I'm going to make 4 kriyas a day. Every day will be 4 suits. Could you give me 4 suits a day? That's not Allah in Shulchan Aruch. The Maisa, we're not knowing like that so well. Whenever you hear kfira, you're supposed to do kriya. The Maisa, he did not become a Chaver Knesset. But look what he did for Am Yisrael. How he dealt with the Holocaust children. I told you what I said. There's someone that comes to daven in this shul, Sam Khan. You know him? Rebach, you know him? A fine idiot, right? He told me, and I asked him again and again, I asked him 3 times to double check the story. He told me that when the Panovich Rav was in Israel, he traveled a lot to collect. But when he was in Eretz Yisrael, he used to invite the English Bachrim for Shabbos Friday night to his Suda at home. And Sam Khan was a few times with the Panovich Rav. And he said there was a every Leil Shabbos was the following procedure. Dessert time, all the neighbors come in. And you know who the neighbors were? Gedolei Yisrael. Shlomko Berman, Rebel Pavlovsky, they come in. And they come in like for dessert time. Like today you're invited for dessert. Like, don't come to the meal, but you're invited for dessert. Fine. And they would come, and then he would start saying the Panovich Rav stories about the Chofetz Chaim. He was with him for 3 years. He never repeated himself. And every time it happened the following. The first 10 minutes went by fine. Then he's starting to get a little emotional. And after another 5 minutes, he starts crying, he can't go on. And he asks Mechila from the Tzibur, and they all leave. I asked Sam, his name's Shmuel, no? Shmuel, tell me, is that what happened? Yeah. Every time I was there? Every time I was there. How do you explain it? How do you explain those tears? What were those tears? It happened every time. You start saying a story, and it's going good, it's going fine. Up to 10 minutes. And then, and after 5 minutes, I'm sorry, I can't go on. He starts crying, you can't go on anymore. It was what?
He was alive as he told the stories.
So why is he crying? What's the? Is it crying of atzvus? I'm not so sure. Maybe gaguim, longing. maybe brought him back, or like he suddenly knows who the Chofetz Chaim was. Like I don't know. Or Hai Shufra de Bali Afra. It needs to be explained. But I asked him 3 times, and you can ask him also. Is that what happened? He said every time. And they would come, and okay, so they came for 15 minutes. It's also good. And Levi Levinson told me the Ponevezh Rav was very, very close once he came to Eretz Yisrael. You know who he got close to? He was mamash mevatel himself totally to the Chazon Ish. Legamre. So he said that his father's alive. So Zan Good Nishtak, living in Eretz Yisrael. Jackie Levinson. Baruch Hashem, alive and well. I met him a few months ago. I went to hear a few stories from him. He lives about this stuff. Also, a personality larger than life. And he said he asked once the Ponevezh Rav to start driving from Stamford Hill to this area, Golders Green. Again, in the 50s. Okay, it's the same distance.
You used to stay with cousin Moskowitz.
Oh, yeah, but a lot of times with Levinsons also. The whole Levinson family became Ponevezh because of him. I guess he was in a few places. So you're right. So they asked the Ponevezh Rav, he asked them, who was bigger, the Chazon Ish or the Chofetz Chaim? Who can answer that? Who can answer that? Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But he knew very well, the Ponevezh Rav knew both very well, and he said the whole travel, when he was asked this question, it was a 25 or 30 minute drive. He's like going back and forth. He's doing with his hands. And then they reached Golders Green, and then he came to his verdict. The Chofetz Chaim was a malach. But the Chazon Ish was the only one in the world I was afraid of. Gavra de Birtas, what the Gemara says. I had a pachat noira from the Chazon Ish. That's what he said. What does that mean? I don't know. But again, who can anybody compare that? You know the 3 the Ish says about the Chazon Ish in Or Chaim Simon Kufman Vav, that he's a babua. A babua means a reflection of the Goyim. You know what that means? Babbis. I'll tell you the truth, to be honest, and with this I'm really finishing. You know, regarding the question, maybe this will stop recording.